Now, how the system itself works is tracking users across your mobile applications, client-side data, as well as back-end and server-side data, pulling it all together and breaking it down by behavioral, engagement, or demographic data, creating profiles, analyzing it, helping you build marketing automation layers on top of it, and engaging with these users across various channels, be it push notifications, emails, SMSs, ad network retargeting, or anything else really. And the insights that we're bringing to you today and what powering 500 million users every month means for us is that we work with brands like Tokopedia, Traveloka, View, Deutsche Telekom across Europe, McAfee, and some of the largest digital first as well as some very, very large enterprises globally. And what that further translates into is the fact that we are bringing you data and insights right now from over 35 countries, having analyzed 45 billion interactions every single month, and over 60 billion events being processed by our system. And what all of this data is telling us is that push notifications are very, very effective. Being a cross-channel marketing automation platform, we know that what data looks like across push notifications, emails, and other channels. And what we see from push is that up to 20% of all app opens are actually influenced by push notifications. Up to 45% conversion rates seen on push notifications. You're never going to see that on any other channel. Up to 15% of all e-commerce conversions are actually driven by push notifications. That's something that we've seen looking at some of the largest e-commerce companies globally. And just the simple personalization of a push notification could mean over 4 times the conversion rates for you. But that's all good, and that all tells us that push notifications are probably the best communication channel you have for your brands. Only issue is the delivery. So they're amazing as long as they're getting delivered. But the problem right now in the industry is that they're not. What we see is on average, you're getting a 30 to 40% delivery rate for your push notifications. What that's translating into is that 70%, almost 70% of all communications you're sending out are never really reaching your customers. And what we did was just deep dove into the numbers to figure out why is this? Why aren't these notifications going through? So a few of the insights that we have today are what is impacting these notifications, and we hope this will help you understand how do you improve your delivery rates, how do you improve your engagement rates. So one of the bigger factors that we see is user engagement on your apps itself. So what you see here is if the user's been active for the last 1 day, we've got a big spike in engagement and delivery. But as the days go on and the users aren't really engaging with your applications, there's a huge drop. Now what that means for you is the longer a customer spends away from your application, the bigger the gap in delivery and bigger the problem in creating that habit for the user to keep using your app. Another one of the large factors that we see, and this is something that's growing especially across Southeast Asia, are the devices. The Chinese manufacturers, the OEMs that we see, biggest culprits here being Oppo and OnePlus. The push delivery rates are abysmal. You're barely getting any push notifications being delivered on these devices. Now, what that means is you need to understand who these users are. You need to understand if you've got alternate channels that you want to automate as fallbacks. And you also need to understand whether you need to increase the activity on a daily basis on these apps if your users are on these Chinese manufactured devices. Now, another big factor, and that ties in very closely to the device types, are the Android versions. As you see here is, on an average, the later versions see far, far better delivery rates, and older the version, lower the delivery. So you're gonna have to make sure the other factors influencing delivery are being looked at by you very closely. Network connectivity. So as long as your users are on Wi-Fi, you're gonna get good delivery, and by good delivery here, we mean even 40%. 40% on push notifications is still good. Now, if you've got a lot of customers in rural areas, areas where you do not have very good connectivity, you'd be better off having a fallback message or improving some of the other metrics that are impacting your push delivery rates. Now, one of the final factors that we see is the time to live. Every time you create a push notification, what a lot of you don't see is the fact that you're assigning a time to live to that push notification. So, shorter the time to live, lesser your delivery rate. And it's quite simple. If your push notification is not time sensitive, go ahead and increase that TTL. If you've got users in rural areas, go ahead and increase that TTL. If you've got users running older Android versions or Chinese OEMs, that's the area that you need to hit. And you also need to improve your daily active users. The other big factor is technology itself. Most platforms globally rely on Firebase and FCM to deliver your push notifications, and that's where the technology that you use for push delivery plays a huge role. What we do is push amplification, and what that means is we're consistently delivering over 20% more notifications to your users, irrespective of some of these other factors. So, one of the biggest drivers can just be the technology that you're leveraging for delivering communications to your customers. Now that we know some of the major factors impacting push delivery rates, what we'd like to talk about a little bit is a case study here about Tokopedia. Tokopedia is widely known as being very successful in retaining and engaging their users, and we're proud to be powering a lot of that. And something that they're doing very well is, for example, one of their campaigns, which is user journeys for onboarding. They rely very heavily on push notifications in the first two flows of this user onboarding, because your users are the most active within that time period. And it only makes sense to use the most effective channel to engage them during that time period. So what they've been doing is engaging users from install to registration through push, making sure we're nudging them towards making that registration that gives us their email ID or phone number and opens up newer channels of communication for us. Registration to add to cart is again something that they expect users to do immediately within a day or two. So again, a heavy reliance on push notifications. The third flow is getting users to add products to cart and then make a purchase. And that's where any e-commerce company would see a huge drop-off. A lot of people are price shopping. They're adding products to cart. They're waiting for discounts. And that's where we leverage additional channels such as ad network retargeting for them, making sure that even if the user's gone cold for a few days, even if our delivery rates are dropping, we're still able to reach them on other platforms. And further, consistently getting them to repeat their purchase through both push and emails is something that's been working very well for them. And just an example of a flow that they create and how they're automating this journey is a very simple rule-based automation that they've put in place, which just goes to say, if the user's gotten a notification once they've registered or installed the app, let's push them on to the next step. So it's a simple if-else. If they do this, send them a notification. If they don't, start showing them ads. What that also means for them is they've reduced their ad budgets and their ad spend significantly, because as long as you're active on push notifications, which is technically free, you're not really paying for ads anymore. What they also do very, very well is personalizing these push notifications in emails and other communications. Now, what we saw earlier is a 4 times increase in conversion rates by personalizing. And what a lot of our brands do very well, especially Tokopedia again, is recommending products, recommending content, recommending the right time to make a purchase, or something as simple as recommending what delivery times might suit their preferences, because we already know when this user's accepting deliveries or not. So they've been able to figure out the right time to send communication and the right channel to send them at. What all of that has resulted with just this one use case is a 60% improvement in first month user retention. What we're not able to share with you is just the ad budget that reduced by doing this, by relying on push notifications before ads. And what they've also seen is a 20% uplift in transactions by new users. And these are huge numbers for someone who's doing over 80 million monthly active users a month. So huge impact just by doing the right messaging at the right time and keeping your users engaged. Tying it all together with your push delivery rate impact and also what a good marketing automation and push campaign can mean is, as we know, push notifications super effective, one of the best channels that you could rely on. But what you need to keep an eye on is your delivery rates for last activity, for device types, for networks, time to live, and also the Android versions. As long as you're keeping an eye on that, you can ensure maximum efficiency within your campaigns. And the biggest thing is just understand your users. Use the data that you have across different channels, understand who these users are, understand what devices they live on, understand what their purchasing cycles are like, and just reach them at the right time. And quite simple to do with the right technology. And with 1 minute remaining, that's it. Well, all right, thank you, everyone. We'll be around if we can help with any questions.